What's going on, guys? It's Brandon back here for another video. Got last playoff series of 2013 today. Round 4 at the Stanley Cup Final against the Boston Bruins. Coming into this series, Chicago had beaten Minnesota in 5, Detroit in 7, and LA in 5. Boston had beat Toronto in 7, the Rangers, I want to say, in 5, and the Penguins in 4. Swept them. And Chicago was the first seed, President's Trophy winning, best team in the league during the regular season, 77 points. Bruins were 15 points beneath them with 62 and the 4th seed in the East. Game 1, Hawks win 4-3 in triple overtime. Very long game. Milan Lucic gets on the board in the first with his 4th of the playoffs, and then scores again in the second to make it 2-0 for the Bruins with his 5th. Then Brandon Saad gets his 1st of the playoffs to make it 2-1. Patrice Bergeron scores then on the power play to make it 3-1 in the 3rd. Then Dave Bolin gets his 1st of the playoffs, and Johnny Oduya gets his 3rd of the playoffs to tie the game. First make it 3-2, then make it 3-3. And then no scoring in the first overtime, no scoring in the second overtime. And then Michael Roosevelt in the 3rd overtime throws a shot at the net, deflects off Bolin and Shaw, and it goes into the net as Shaw gets his 5th of the playoffs. And Hawks take Game 1 in a game that they were down by 2 goals twice, so great comeback there. Boston probably should have had this game. Game 2, Hawks lose 2-1 in overtime. This time it's the Hawks who get on the board first. It's Sharp with his 9th of the playoffs to make it 1-0. Then Chris Kelly gets his 1st of the playoffs to make it 1-1, and then Daniel Paille scores it in the first overtime to make it with his 3rd of the playoffs to make it 2-1. Series tied 1-1 going into Boston. Game 3, Hawks lose 2-0, get shut out. Rask had a phenomenal game. No goals in the first. Daniel Paille gets his 4th of the playoffs in the second period, and then Bergeron gets his 7th of the playoffs in the second period as well. That's 1-0, 2-0. That's your final score. No goals were scored in the 3rd. We move on to Game 4, which is a very big deciding game that no one wanted to keep a lead in, specifically Chicago. So Michael Handzus scores his 3rd of the playoffs to make it 1-0, and it's shorthanded. Then Rich Peverley responds by scoring on the power play with his 2nd of the playoffs, so it's 1-1 after the first period. Jonathan Toews then scores his 2nd of the playoffs to make it 2-1, and then a minute and 58 seconds later, Patrick Kane then scores his 7th of the playoffs to make it 3-1. Milan Lucic then makes it 3-2 with his 6th of the playoffs. Marcus Kruger then gets his 3rd of the playoffs, and makes it 4-2. And then before the end of the period, Patrice Bergeron gets his 8th of the playoffs on the power play. And it's 4-3 going into the 3rd, where Patrice Bergeron scores his 2nd of the game with his 9th of the playoffs, and then is responded to by Patrick Sharp, making it 5-4 with his 10th of the playoffs on the power play. And then Johnny Boychuk in the waning minutes gets his 6th of the playoffs to make it 5-5. And then in overtime, Brent Seabrook does it again with his 3rd of the playoffs to make it 6-5. Series tied going home to Chicago. Hawks win 6-5 in overtime, and 3 of the first 4 games have gone to overtime. Game 5. Hawks win 3-1 and take a 3-2 series lead on the Bruins. Patrick Kane gets his 8th of the playoffs, with it making it 1-0, and then gets his 9th of the playoffs, making it 2-0. Zdeno Chara, 4 minutes into the 3rd period, gets his 3rd of the playoffs to make it 2-1. But then Dave Bolin hits the empty netter with his 2nd of the playoffs. Hawks win 3-1 going to Boston, which is, we all remember, all Chicago fans remember this game. Game 6, Hawks win 3-2 and take home the cup. How did they get there? In the first period, Chris Kelly gets his 2nd of the playoffs to make it 1-0. Jonathan Toews then scores almost about a second. They were shorthanded. Toews brings it up the ice. As soon as the clock ticked that the penalty was over, Toews scores, so it's not considered a shorthanded goal, but it basically was. It's 1-1. We go to the 3rd, where with 7 minutes to go in the period, Milan Lucic gets his 7th of the playoffs to make it 2-1. At this point, I was thinking we're probably going back to Chicago for Game 7. And with a minute and 16 with the goalie pulled, Crawford's at the bench. They got Hawks up 6 skaters on the ice. It's Kane to Keith to Toews. Handzus and Bickle are out in front. Toews gives it to Bickle. He scores with a minute and 16 left in the period, his 9th of the playoffs, and I'm thinking we're going to have our 4th overtime of the series. It's 2-2, and then 17 seconds later, the checking line, Bolin, Kruger for a leak is out there. Bolin, Kruger. No, it was Bolin, Frolik, and Stahlberg, I think. I think it was it Kruger? I don't remember. It was either Kruger or Stallberg on that fourth line. Yeah, so they win the faceoff. They're in the zone. They're supposed to be the checking line or like defensive line, and they're out there. They're going. You have, I think it was Kruger dumping it. Frolik dumped it in. No, Hjalmarsson dumped it in. Then Frolik took it, gave it over to Kruger, who gave it back to Oduya. Oduya shot it from the point off the post. Boland's there with the rebound. Rask is down. He shoots. He scores. Hawks with 59 seconds left. 17 seconds away, or 17 seconds difference between goals. That's the iconic 17 seconds meeting in Chicago. Boland gets his third of the playoffs at 59 seconds to go in the third period. Hawks are up 3-2 and now have to defend the lead for the last 59 seconds, and they're Stanley Cup champions, in which, with a few seconds to go, Taves brings it up down the ice. He just dumps it in. And as I quote what he said, I went to go dump it in, missed the empty net, and then I went to look up at the clock, and there were 3 zeros sitting up on it. And the Hawks won their second Stanley Cup in 4 years. And, yeah, the second happiest day of my life, I could say. And, yeah, the Hawks win the series in 6. They take the Stanley Cup. And let's go over the stats for the game. Lucic leads the Bruins in scoring with 4 goals, 2 assists, 6 points. Krejci had 0 goals, 5 assists, 5 points. Krejci led the playoffs in scoring as well. Bergeron, 4 goals, 0 assists, 4 points. Paille, 2 goals, 2 assists, 4 points. Chara, 1 goal, 3 assists, 4 points. And Tyler Seguin, when he was still a Bruin, 0 goals, 4 assists, 4 points. The Hawks, led by the Hawks, Kane, Bolin, and Taves led the Hawks. Kane and Bolin each had 3 goals, 2 assists for 5 points. Taves had 2 goals, 3 assists, 5 points. Bickle, 1 goal, 3 assists, 4 points. And Frolik, 0 goals, 4 assists, 4 points. And Crawford, Rask went 2-4 with a .932 save percentage. Crawford went 4-2 with a .925 save percentage. So overall, the goalies were excellent in this series. Now, the Blackhawks overall playoffs and scoring, there were 4 on the top 10 scorers of the playoffs. Kane won the Conn Smythe and had 9 goals, 10 assists, 19 assists. So your playoff MVP right there. Bickle, 9 goals, 8 assists, 17 points. I would have argued it should have went to Bickle. 2010, I argue, could have went to Taves. Definitely had a great playoffs. Bufflin, I would say, could have won it as well. Bickle, I think he deserved it. He was the most man, scored 9 goals, and I don't think anyone expected him to get 3 goals in the playoffs. And then Sharp had 10 goals, 6 assists, 16 points. Hossa, 7 goals, 9 assists, 16 points. And Crawford overall was 16-7 with a .932 save percentage. So this is what put Crawford as an elite goaltender in the league. He won the Jennings Trophy that year, and he also won the Jennings Trophy in 2015. So he's got 2 Jennings trophies. He's been to the All-Star games. Only thing he didn't win was a Vezina in that era. But in that era, you had Lundqvist, you had Price, you had Quick, and again he beat Quick. There was Fleury, even though he didn't win the Vezina until recently. There was a ton of Hall of Fame goaltenders just playing at that time. And yeah, this was the 2013 playoff run. That's really all I have for you guys today. Next time we'll start the 2014 playoff run with this team right there, the St. Louis Blues in round 1. But we'll get to there. If you might have noticed recently, I've gone back and I've started putting thumbnails on all my videos so I don't look like an idiot in the in the thumbnail, because I've been poked fun at, you could say, by a few of my friends, but that's okay. And I'm making the change now. I got about a third of my videos done, so by the end of today I should have all of them done. So yeah, that's all I really have for you guys today. And yeah, we'll move on to 2014 next time. Tomorrow is New Year's Eve, so we'll celebrate the new year coming in 2022 on the 1st, and we'll have a power rankings that day. We'll have a playoff series that day, and maybe I'll think of a fun thing to do for that video. So yeah, that's all I have for you guys today. I'll see you guys next time. Goodbye.